Well, hello. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to take a step into the future and unlock virtual and augmented reality and what it could mean to help grow your business in many industries. So we are very lucky. We are brought here by a grant from the Washington State Microenterprise Association. You can see all of the nonprofits that benefited from $2 million in small grants. There's about 80 organizations that are out there helping businesses like yourself that are in small areas of the state and need some attention in growing your technical skills and helping you understand what's available to grow and mature your business and be future ready. So we've had an amazing series of classes already, thanks to the Pacific County Economic Development Council, bringing that grant to me to bring these classes to you. But they're also there to help you and your business in a number of ways. If you're not already familiar with the Pacific County Economic Development Council, they have a meeting room facility that you can reserve. They have copy and print facilities for you. There are a ton of resources on their website, and they offer referrals and different assistance in helping you grow your business and maintain your business. So if you have not reached out to them already, I highly recommend it. I thank you for joining me today. I am Lynn Westfall, but my business name and moniker has been the Modem Lisa since 1999. Though I took a long 20 plus year detour into the corporate IT world, I haven't run the business that whole time. I have always maintained it. And um, when I moved here to Ocean Park, Washington, back in 2022, I was still working remotely in the tech industry for a business that actually was interested in diving into the technologies we're going to start today. They're sort of a mid-level enterprise organization of about 3 to 5,000 employees. So, a little different scope. But they had been talking about different aspects of augmented and virtual reality since the 2010, 2015 era, when these technologies started to kind of emerge. But if you think about virtual reality, there's been kind of this concept around since the 50s with 3D video and immersive experiences. Today, we're going to talk a lot about the different ways that we've seen augmented reality and virtual reality throughout our lives and how now things are really starting to evolve, especially with the advent of artificial intelligence tools that we're seeing slowly but steadily. All of this technology is going to merge, and we'll have fully immersive virtual environments where we're interacting with virtual artificial assistants that are guiding us through learning new skills or having different kinds of product creation, brainstorming sessions. It's really an exciting time in technology, though it's always evolving. And more than ever, it's important for you as a business leader or business owner to understand what these technologies could mean so that you're thinking ahead to future proof your business and stay ahead of the curve. That's always what businesses do by capitalizing on emerging trends. You're able to beat out your competition. So Today, we are going to dive into the current state, of virtual and augmented reality. I'm going to explain to you what these technologies are, how you can leverage them to enhance customer experiences, as ultimately our end customer, be it uh, tourist, someone buying from you, or another business, you need to continuously enhance that experience in order to keep them coming back. So we'll learn all about that. There are great potentials for AR and VR in training and in demonstrating your product to customers, and certainly marketing to them. And then I'm going to show you, just like in the last classes, we talked about practical applications for mobile devices and blockchain in our local businesses, the ones that are near and dear to us here on the Long Beach Peninsula and in Pacific County. I'm going to talk to you about practical use cases for our businesses here. So we had a poll at the beginning of this class to find out how many of you had heard of augmented reality. This was not quite popular. Not all of us have heard of AR before. Um, and some of us, more of us had experienced virtual reality kind of in a, game setting, VR. We've had some form of access to for uh, over a decade or more. I experienced some very in-depth virtual reality environments about 5 years ago at the Cleveland International Film Festival. And those experiences were on kind of low cost devices, even for that period. But we're going to talk about device limitations and changes because that's very impactful to these technologies. And we'll also learn about how they've been applied. So have you ever played a mobile game that used your camera to display images on the video display, like that Pokemon Go that was so big now, like 4 or 5 years ago? Um, pre-COVID, I think, right? Um, so Pokemon Go was one of the first big hit augmented reality games. But there's been tons of them. So that Pokemon Go, it generated over 3 billion in revenue, billion with a B. And it has around 3 million, oh no, 5 million, 5 million daily active users as of 2023. Daily active users. That's insane, but it's not the only one. There's a Harry Potter game, Jurassic World, and of course, all our tweens' favorite Minecraft has an AR version of their sandbox, but that was kind of discontinued. So there's been all these different kind of gaming applications, and this tends to be one way that we see technology bubbling up through gaming, through entertainment industry, but then slowly but surely things permeate through into our everyday business type technology. And our final question, do you think that small businesses have a use for these technologies? Right? Do they right now at this moment? Will they in the next 1 to 5 years, or is it more 5 to 10 years? There are businesses that could certainly benefit from technology today, but it is an investment. So if you're investing in it today, you're future proofing for tomorrow. It just depends on what your business is ready for, and you have to measure your own sort of return on that investment to understand if it's the right time for your business. And we'll talk about, many of you are in the tourism and hospitality industries here locally. So we'll talk about the potential uses that you could implement today and what costs those might entail. So everybody has a smartphone today. As of the September 2023 Pew Research data, about 91% of US adults own a smartphone, and that was only 35% in 2011. So, and that seems crazy to me that in 2011 it was only 35% because I was so in the smartphone industry. I love as I talked about in the last mobile device class, I kind of love being on that bleeding edge because I do get into playing with technology, but it has bit me in the past. Early adoption comes with pitfalls. And what do I mean by early adoption? Whenever a new technology hits the market, there is sort of a period during that first 1 to 2 years of release of a product where you're seeing kind of their best first effort. But because it's only been tested in smaller groups and not to the public at large, they're going to discover so much more in that first run of whatever product it is. So this bit me a little bit when it came to smart refrigerators, and which is still an emerging technology because the first instance I had of it was a Samsung model that had sort of a iPad style tablet above the ice and water maker, and it had photos, it had a calendar, it had the ability to play music and other apps like a weather app. But what happened was none of those apps continued to be supported. The connection was clunky. You couldn't delete the stock photos that came with the refrigerator, which were like pictures of food. So there were flaws in those first models. And when it's something that you don't replace very often, that can be challenging. And we're talking about mobile devices, and later we'll talk about virtual reality equipment. Some of these things you're replacing very regularly. The smartphone industry would like you to replace your phone every 1 to 2 years. I don't recommend that. I think you should hang on for 3 to 4 years if you can. Um, it's fun to be on the cutting edge, but like I said, that early adoption comes with its flaws. So, but now that 91% of us have adopted smartphone technology, the additional benefits of that mobile adoption keep growing. And one of those is augmented reality. So everybody's looking at their phones all the time. They're communicating on social media, but they are in the real world. So what augmented reality does is bring that into reality. It's a technology that allows for digital objects to be overlaid on what you're looking at through a screen, but in your real world. So this allows you to do things like have product visualizations that someone can, move around the environment that they're in or see how it might fit in their hand. You can do interactive displays where you're already maybe showing a menu. This is kind of one of the restaurant use cases, and people want to see what the meal would look like on their table. It's great for learning things that require physical interaction. So, in one of our prior classes, I talked about using different technologies to train a barista. So, the first thing was, as you're going through your normal day as someone who's already a trained professional barista, you can record what you're doing in order to create training materials. But then you could also enhance that by having that initial video, that documentation, but then a training process where they're actually in virtual reality pouring that cup of coffee. Obviously, these come with a cost and there's challenges to them that we'll talk about later in the class. But what I really want you to do today is start thinking about the future of these technologies and what's out there to really, bring together new and exciting ideas and draw more attention to your businesses, because ultimately that's what we're trying to do is continue to be successful and grow. Um, we're all kind of familiar with using navigation apps that are telling us how to drive from point to point, but we could interact with the world we're walking through, having navigation assistance going through a store, what to find in a different aisle. As we're walking through that aisle, then we can incorporate promotional experiences like this is on sale. There's a lot of different applications for this in a promotional sense. I'm going to show you some interesting ones, just some quick little examples, some videos for you. But there are a lot of opportunities, and I want you to start to think about what they could be. And augmented reality doesn't really require anything more than your employee, your customer, your partner, whoever it might be, to have a mobile device. But then there's virtual reality. And while some virtual reality can happen through a mobile device, it's really an immersive 3D experience. So we'd still want to take that mobile device and use it in a completely encompassing experience with a set of headset. Um, there are some that work on just a mobile device. I don't necessarily recommend them. We're going to talk about that. But it's meant to be a fully immersive environment where you are no longer sitting in this room. So augmented reality is going to bring things from the digital world into this room. Virtual reality is going to take you out into a whole nother space. So what does that mean? It's creating immersion. You're in this environment that seems to be real, even though it is digitally made. And obviously, quality is going to matter on that. But they should allow you to move and look and feel just like you would in the real world. And really, that technology has improved immensely recently. We're seeing a lot of advancements in the capture of virtual worlds. And doing that now is much more accessible. You used to have very expensive equipment in order to capture a virtual 3D world. But now some of that can happen from mobile devices, the capture part. So it's important to understand that how these technologies interact with each other and have merged in recent years to be much more beneficial. They allow, virtual reality allows for more interaction. So when you're utilizing augmented reality, you're holding your mobile device, or maybe you're wearing a set of glasses that are capable of augmented reality and virtual reality. We're going to talk about some of these different options. Um, but they are allowing, a true virtual environment will allow you to interact, maybe even have sensory feedback depending on the set. Um, but there's a lot of different applications, and ultimately, virtual reality aims to completely replace your perception of the real world, where augmented reality, I want you to remember that that's still in this world. But they're both considered a context of extended reality. And this is XR. Yeah, I didn't mention that because that's even more future, encompassing. But think about it. This encompasses all immersive technologies that merge physical and digital environments, extending what our concept of reality is. So there's a number of different VR headsets on the market. each one of these headsets also means that it is allowing connection to different virtual environments and applications. They don't necessarily play together. So Meta has a number of different options. The Quest is kind of the most popular right now, the Quest 3. This is about a $500 device, and it can connect to a PC. I think in some contexts, you can also utilize your mobile device, but it's also available as standalone. So you have this different option to run what's native in the metaverse versus what's available to you through a PC. Because Meta has been so accessible, they also have a version of the Quest that's only $200, but it has a lot of limitations. So it's been more accessible though, so it has an extensive library of applications that you can use with the headsets. And that's a little bit about what sets it apart from Apple Vision or PlayStation. PlayStation is definitely more game geared. MetaQuest and Apple are more lifestyle geared, and there's some business application. So we have a MetaQuest Pro and we have Apple Vision Pro that are more geared towards business users or high-end customers because they're, the MetaQuest Pro is 1,500 and, or no, it might be 1,000 now. But when they release new versions of it, they're usually around 1,500. The Apple Vision is around 3,500 if you're gonna get all the bells and whistles with it. So it's definitely an investment in that equipment. And with the Apple Vision, you have their set of applications, which is very new. It has not matured very much yet. So it's limited to what Apple has kind of pre-designed for their environment. And I'm not saying that that's a problem because Apple did think through many important concepts before they released this device. So, not only the physical aspects of the comfort and wearing it, the display is incredible by comparison, but they also, thought about what your initial uses might be. And you can connect it to your other Apple devices, right? Because they love keeping you in their ecosystem. So you're able to utilize the applications that you would use in your reality in a virtual space now and move kind of seamlessly from your traditional, you know, Mac desktop to your MacBook Pro and or your iPad. All of these devices can be running different applications on those devices that you're then connecting to through the Apple Vision. If you haven't taken a look, there are lots of videos on YouTube of all of these devices and how they're used. We're going to look at some augmented reality technology first, though, and talk about, how do these technologies appeal to our tech savvy tourists, right? Because we live in a county that is primarily a tourist attraction. And all of our businesses benefit from the traffic or the people that move here to support that industry. In one way or another, we kind of all touch uh, the different tourist industries here. So I want to talk about some of the different AR or augmented reality technology use cases out here. So let's see if I can share the sound as well here. So you can see people can, interact with different objects in the real world, find out information about them, go back to their map, interact with the places that they've been, and track what they've collected. I kind of equate this to the Long Beach Charm Trail. If someone's walking down the street looking at their AR app, they can see, oh, this charm is available over here at this restaurant. Or, oh, this charm down the road, I want that little one that looks like the palm tree, so I'm going to go that way. All of these different technologies, whoa, I didn't realize I made my screen look so interesting. All of these different technologies allow us to really immerse ourselves. So let's take a look at a company that a lot of us are familiar with, which is Spectrum. They used this augmented reality technology in their workplace, and you might find it interesting as well what they're sharing with us. So let's take a look at how they used it to enhance their workplace.
Excellence. Point number one, set each other up to be successful every day in our continued drive to exceed customer expectations. Authenticity. Point number two, without distress, discuss and debate solutions that help improve our business.
Let's make Technovation happen. Together, we can bring our Spectrum Reach values to life each and every day. Share recognition and celebrate the contributions of others. This is the foundation of our Utopia vision.
So you can see how you can have these like posters or other triggers that are launching really in-depth information that you don't want to have somebody stand there and read, but if they're hearing it and interacting with it, it becomes more relatable, more easy to remember for them. And then there's, some different fun applications and really creative applications. This first one is, from the Little League. And if you think about some of the different events that we have on the peninsula, be it like the Razor Clam Festival that we just had, or sensations coming up. There are so many fun things that would enhance these events and draw in more of those tech savvy tourists. And then this last one is from a real estate group, and it's really some very intricate artwork incorporated. So we have a lot of real estate needs on the peninsula. We have a lot of artists on the peninsula. and throughout the county. So this is something that, to me, it's like we can bring together so many different businesses within our community and all benefit from augmented reality by helping tourists find the businesses that they need and get the most out of their experiences with these businesses. So check this one out too.
Broder and Saxey Real Estate owns and manages 3 exceptional apartment buildings here in Detroit.
In developing our properties in downtown, we thought it was very important to bring art to the communities.
We wanted to connect the physical art world to the crypto world, the NFT world. We partnered with Brand XR to bring these pieces of art to life.
Brand XR is a no-code augmented reality platform.
Using the Electrofly augmented reality art app, residents can scan the art pieces to launch interactive augmented reality art experiences.
At the Albert, we have Olivia Guterson and her piece titled, Teach Me How to Listen.
My name is Olivia Guterson, and I am an artist, a mother, and a builder here in Detroit, Michigan. Detroit constantly inspires me. The community here is my community. Detroit is my home. This piece is called Teach Me to Listen. I was kind of in a space where I was thinking a lot about what is available when we remember where we came from, remember where our people came from, but mostly remember what it means to be in right relationship with Earth and each other. And it starts with listening.
At the Scott, we have Al Cappy and his piece titled Warm.
My name is Eric Lowry. Everyone calls me El Cappy. I'm an artist, designer, creator, and I'm from Detroit, Michigan. The name of this piece is called Warm. I named it Warm because it really just be based on the colors and how it makes you feel. I really just wanted to grab as much yellow and oranges. I like painting with paper because it looks so real. I'm super excited to go into this digital art world. It's just the next level of art, you know, it's definitely going to be the next big thing.
At the Hamilton at Midtown, we partnered with Chris Turner and his piece titled Homefront.
My name is Chris Turner and I am an artist. For the past 25 years, I've been creating art here in the city of Detroit. Inspiration behind the piece comes from all of the post 9/11 government jargon. This would be my take, my postmodern take on graffiti.
Not only do we have the real pieces on the wall, but we've also digitized and made into NFTs these same artworks, and we're gifting them to our residents. They can keep them, they can trade them, they can sell them, but when they move on to the next party, there's a royalty paid to the original artist.
Each one of our residents get this little digital slice with this NFT that they get to add to their crypto wallet.
We really hope that our residents really get into this program, enjoy their free NFT, and understand how it makes them part of not only the art community, but our residential community at the properties.
Yes, that's really the confluence of so much different technology. You know, we're talking about augmented reality and virtual reality, and we're talking about NFTs and, you know, the realty agent using it as a marketing mechanism and the artist using it as a marketing and connection mechanism, and the residents getting something out of that benefit as well to be a part of that overall process. So the potential here that I want you to start thinking about is, you know, what different value does this technology potentially have in my particular space? What processes could I improve today that I need to improve? And we're going to talk about that after we take a quick break so that anyone can answer questions that they might have. I'm happy to answer those questions, and we can all take a little breather since we've really had a lot to absorb about what these technologies are and just the beginning of the iceberg of what they can do for us. All right, well, welcome back. Let's dive right in because I want us all to start thinking ahead. when we're considering the potential of these, we need to evaluate the current processes and operations that could benefit from using AR, VR in them. So, what am I talking about? Well, first and foremost, there are tons of marketing and advertising benefits. Think about how you're connecting with your current customers today in your business. And is it effective? When your customer is in your physical facility, are you getting the most out of it? Is a website really providing an in-depth enough experience? Um, there's a lot of ways to engage foot traffic from having AR capabilities on existing maps or other AR applications that people might be using. Think about if, number of businesses decided to get together and create a Long Beach Peninsula AR app where you could just go up and down and see the different advertising for the businesses as drove up the street during Rod Run in your hot rod. You're like, oh, okay, where am I going? There are a lot of potential here, but these are forward thinking. It can be expensive to implement these tools, but one of the basic AR marketing tools you may be able to use could be on your business card today. So many of us still have a physical business card. It's losing popularity, right? Because many of us know that we have this stack of business cards and we don't necessarily enter the data. Though I will tell you, you can use AI to do that now, and you don't have to type anything. It can even add it to your contact program of choice, or your CRM if you watched an earlier class and you're actually using a customer relations management software. So you can have AR augmented business cards or flyers, where you maybe put flyers up at different locations around the peninsula with a QR code scan. It could launch an augmented reality app experience for someone on the peninsula. And boy, that's going to stand out from every other flyer on that block, right? I think about some of the realtors and how they have, pictures of all the houses that they have for sale outside their buildings. If they could utilize augmented reality technology to allow people to see, okay, where on the peninsula is this? And can I do with virtual reality a virtual walkthrough? Well, I'm stealing my thunder a little bit here. So we're talking about that sales and customer experience. They're the ones that we're trying to get the most out of. And I want to think about customers in a broad term. These can be business to business relationships. These could be volunteers that you're trying to draw in. It could be donors. Um, your customer is your customer. You know who your target customer avatar is. If you enjoyed some of the earlier courses in this technology workshop, we talked about some different tools that you can use to define and identify that customer avatar or avatars that you might have. And a lot of people might be asking, the Long Beach Peninsula, our population is mostly 65 and over. So are these technologies really accessible? But that does not make up all of our customer base. And because I'm giving classes around the peninsula, they're becoming more savvy every day. But the different populations of the peninsula will interact in different ways. And slowly but steadily, there'll be more and more adoption. Think about training and onboarding. I talked about that barista experience, but there's a lot of potential. So, think about how you do training today and how it would be enhanced. by augmented reality? Could your employee have an app that showed them where everything is supposed to be stocked in your store? And if they, look around, oh, I'm missing stock on this item. This is what it's supposed to look like, but it doesn't. How should things be arranged in an art gallery? You want to make sure that your employees all have the same experience, and these are the kind of tools that can do that. There are maintenance and repair capabilities here. So think about this in multiple ways. You have things that you have to maintain and repair, or you want to hire someone to maintain and repair it, or you're making a product that needs to be maintained and repaired. So all sides of this concept. Um, if you think about how beneficial these augmented reality processes can be if you're looking at a highly complex piece of machinery and you can have the layout of the machinery in an augmented reality view next to it and see what doesn't align or what's not plugged in right or what has to be adjusted or fixed, that can really save you time and effort. It can mean someone who's not as savvy as the person that created it can gain the benefit of their knowledge if you create that augmented reality experience while you're creating your product. Um, and again, this is going to require thinking ahead. What do I need to gather and collect in order to make the augmented reality experience that I want as well? Of course, remote collaboration and communication. We're in a relatively difficult to access location when it comes to population. We're out here on the coast. We're not very near the major cities, 2.5, 3 hours, depending on where you're trying to get. So we want to still be able to take advantage of communication with people in the cities, no matter where it may be around the world, and show them within our existing environment or through a virtual environment, create a more rich experience remotely than, you're experiencing me here on a virtual meeting, but it's not necessarily keeping you in a virtual environment where if we were meeting in the metaverse, you'd be sitting at a virtual table looking around at the other attendees of the meeting. I would be floating without legs in the metaverse. Now, I think that that's been added, but if you think about it, I'm not going to look as real as I look now, but um, this virtual meeting would have been a lot less distractive because I can see the sun has started shining through my window here, and I start to think, oh, I should let my dog out, and my mind starts to wander. But if I was wearing my virtual headset, I wouldn't know that. So there are a lot of benefits to these tools when we're talking about remote collaboration. Being able to manipulate a virtual environment together. Let's go back to that maintenance and repair. We want to collaborate with someone else to repair a device. We might create a virtual lab where we can meet together and work on putting the different pieces together or taking it apart. This is one of the, more advanced uses we're seeing of this technology, but it's becoming more and more accessible. The computing power needed to support these services is becoming more accessible. So we're seeing it more for things like product design and prototyping. Like we were talking about, working together in that collaborative environment to create new things that maybe, we weren't sure what materials we'd use or how those materials would be manipulated. It could be costly to make physical prototypes. We are super lucky on the peninsula to be able to take advantage of the library's 3D printer. But there's limitations there. There's size limitations, there's material limitations. Trying to prototype in the physical world can be more costly than prototyping in a virtual world, depending on what we're talking about prototyping. So think about what functions are happening in your business that would benefit from having a virtual option. And like I said, virtual training is one of those important offerings that started to become more popular. And why am I showing a crab pot here? Because virtual training for dangerous jobs is a huge improvement. So, in order for someone to learn how to do the things that they do on a crab boat, they're being put in a life-threatening situation. We first learned about deadliest catch because it is the deadliest job, right? So here in all of our local fishing and boating industry, there is a lot of danger. And if someone's looking to start to go down that career path, but they want to understand the fundamentals of what's involved in a very immersive experience, where they can actually start to feel a little bit of the boat rocking from the feedback and from being immersed in that experience where the image in front of you is jostling around like a boat would. I know for me, the motion sickness alone would get to me, but the physical requirements, if you can do a day's work on, well, if some of their days go on for 2 days or 3 days. So if you have a trainee wearing a headset, but going through the physical motions, yeah, they're not really on a boat. Yeah, they're not really lifting up that amount of weight, though they might feel it, right? They might feel it in that or in that feedback, but you can put them through the steps of these processes that you would have not been able to replicate without putting them in real danger previously. We're seeing these, highly dangerous training jobs. And where have we always seen virtual training? In flight simulation. Luckily, it was something that industry realized pretty early on that, pilots need to have a real interactive experience before they're in the cockpit of a different plane. So even though we have pilots that have flown for years and years, when a new plane is released, they typically have to work in a flight simulator to learn the new controls and issues that that plane may face. Unfortunately, with the recent issues with Boeing, we've seen that sometimes there were shortcuts to taking that process because training itself takes up the time of the actual pilot or whoever it is that's learning the process, whatever industry we're talking about, right? You can't be actually working and training at the same time. It's also difficult from the trainer side too. You can't really effectively train someone if you're actually trying to do the job at the same time. But so often, because we have limited resources here on the peninsula, many of us are very hyper small businesses. There are a lot of ways that it's difficult for us to be able to really interact in that way. So some of the businesses on the peninsula that I like to talk about, right? Hotels, rental properties, a huge benefit to your business would be an immersive 360-degree virtual tour of your properties. Even for hotels and other, any property that's trying to show off. And this can also be relatable to our many art galleries. Having virtual tours allows the potential guests to explore the rooms and the amenities and get a real feel for what they would be experiencing when they're there, rather than, oh, this didn't look like the picture at all. If I have the option as someone looking to stay somewhere to walk through a 360-degree virtual experience of where I'm going to stay, or what does the pool room look like, and what walk me through a typical day on your breakfast bar, that's going to bring in a higher end customer. It's going to bring in a customer that's most likely to enjoy the experience because they know what to expect. Now, obviously, you want your virtual experience to align with the physical experience that they'll have. Unless you're creating a virtual hotel in the metaverse, which a business could consider being a completely virtual business, which we'll talk about at the end here. Um, but, a virtual tour, if you're offering a virtual tour, you don't want the person to then be disappointed when they have the real experience. You want them to be, validated in what their virtual experience was. In some ways, you can allow a guest to customize their room in the virtual environment. Maybe they'd like to have different, the furniture arranged differently, and you can do that before they come in. That might be like a real more future thing, or perhaps you can have augmented reality artwork available for them to choose different artwork that they like displayed. We talked about this in the blockchain and NFTs. If you have NFTs available that you can display in the rooms on screens, then you can allow the customers to choose from your different NFTs available. Now we're interacting with a lot of different future tech, right? But another practical application, interactive maps for getting around your facility. And we have some rental properties here that have kind of sprawling facilities. I think of the new Snow Peak, I think it's called, or Southwester, where there's all those different RVs that some of them are for music recording or artists to use. So if they had an interactive map that someone can use to navigate their property, then they don't have to worry about printing a physical map. It's easier to update regularly. They can add in promotions and specials along the way. They can provide special information. If you think about um, if you're the Shelbourne Hotel and you have a lot of historical places throughout your building, you might want people to be able to find out, who stayed in this room, or how old is this room, or is the furniture in this room from a specific period. Those augmented information overlays can enhance the experience of the person staying there, and that just makes them want to come back for more. It also means you have to keep updating it and adding new things to make it more interesting for your new guests as well. But, to some extent, some of these things you can set up and they'll be there for a longer period of time. Think about, virtual concierge or virtual connection services. If someone can interact in a virtual way to request things from you so that they don't have to feel disconnected from the experience. Maybe you can have that virtual concierge there to answer questions for them, but feel more personal. People are getting more and more used to these technologies. I just taught a class at the Peninsula Senior Center yesterday about the evolutions in artificial intelligence and the new use of the OpenAI ChatGPT app, where You're talking to it, it's talking to you, you're walking through the environment. And, Google does this too with their Gemini technology where it can see what you see in the room and answer questions and interact with it. If you can offer that virtual experience, like, I want to request a microwave or an iron or something, it's going to give your customers a better experience. Of course, remote check-in and check-out, they have their augmented reality application up and they're able to click, oh, I want to check in and check out. You can make event spaces optimized for virtual reality within your facility. So if you're one of the hotels here on the peninsula that has event spaces already, by making them useful with the right equipment, you're going to draw in more businesses to have their events at your property. A lot of them want to be able to bring in virtual guests to a physical conference and make it a more augmented experience for the people that are there at the same time. So if you have cameras, screens, microphones, recording equipment, if you have these different facilities available, or even just rooms where people can do their own little virtual meeting, this could be as small as a closet if someone is just wearing a virtual headset. But if you have that available to them, setting your property apart. And that's what we're talking about, right? We have a lot of restaurants and cafes on this peninsula, and most of the tourists aren't going to be making their own food unless, they're catching razor clams and making those. So let's think about all the ways the restaurants and cafes can, really utilize this technology. And interactive menus is one of the technologies that we're really seeing bubble up throughout the industry. And this allows people to, like I mentioned earlier, look through a menu and see what it will look like on their table, but also find out the ingredients and other information. Maybe it's linked to other people's reviews of that dish. You can allow a different interactive experience, and that's just going to make your restaurant more enticing for people that want to have a new experience or that are very tech savvy already and are, more conscious about what they're eating. um, People from around the world come to our peninsula and they're used to having these experiences in major cities. Bringing it here to our little tourist town will set us apart from other little beach towns that they can go to where they may feel like, oh, gee, I can't really use any of this technology that I love here. Now, you want to bring in those tourists, do a virtual restaurant tour. Let them see what it means to have that dining experience. Show them behind the scenes where their food is being made and make it, enticing and exciting. But again, be honest. Don't present things in the virtual environment that don't appear in the real environment. Don't make something look different than what your personal experience, because that could end up, being detrimental instead of enhancing your business. Tabletop experiences. And this is really applicable to a lot of businesses, um, outside of the restaurants and cafes, but people are sitting at your table enjoying their meal or they're waiting for their food, and maybe you want to allow them to play a game to earn points, to become a part of your marketing campaigns. This is another way that you can, bring that augmented reality in, and some of those may be easier than others, but by giving them something to do more than just their dining experience, they may come back just to play that game, or when they sit down, there's a new virtual coloring book that they can do on their device every time. Or, maybe you're somewhere like the Loose Caboose, where there were all this information at the table, and you want people to be able to scan and have it captured on their phones and provide them links to more information. There's some really cool experiences that you can create that will make your diners more excited to be there and come back. You could offer virtual cooking classes if you want people to become more interested in your cuisine. You could tell people more about the wine or cocktails or mocktails, whatever you happen to offer at your facility. A lot of people like to tag the different beverages that they're drinking. There are a lot of applications for people that are connoisseurs of craft beverages. So maybe they'll want to know, you get to the table and they want to see what the bottle looks like. They want to find out more about its vintage. You can do all kinds of different things. Just like the hotels, you can also do virtual event hosting at your facility if you have, a place where you do large dining. Always, and think about as you're planning for your restaurant. Um, a lot of us like to um, redesign our facilities from time to time to make them more beneficial or more optimal for our guests. You could virtually redesign your restaurant instead of moving things around or taking pictures or drawings. This could be a time and money saver. Um, and this is really applicable to any facility, right? If you're looking to redesign, do it in the virtual world instead of in the physical world for time and money savings. And all of these businesses can benefit from using it for those training purposes, for those marketing purposes. Um, in many different ways, hospitality industries are going to be on the cusp of some of these technologies. We have, entertainment is kind of a part of hospitality, because people travel for their entertainment, for their enjoyment. So it's usually a quick follow-up. What's popular in entertainment is going to permeate its way into hospitality and into all of our businesses, including retail stores. So just like with the other businesses, virtual store tours of, what they might experience in your store so that they understand, how to get around when they're in your store, understanding where things are, um, seeing where the sale items are, or being able to, look at it in an augmented screen and say, I want this item. And then everything else on the screen darkens and that item is highlighted so they can walk straight to it. There are so many potential ways that retail stores can benefit from virtual tours. And they can also use these for other marketing functionality with the product information overlays. As people buy things, they might want to see what they've already purchased. I think about going to the record store and being able to overlay, and see, oh, these are my favorite artists, and have their records pop out. Now we're talking about the interaction of AI and accounts and augmented reality, but that's all possible. And like I said, today's meeting is about thinking about what's possible and planning to get ready for it. One of the ways we've seen AR used a lot is in interactive window displays. I think about the Christmas window displays in the big cities, where they have all these kind of things moving, and there's like all this detail that goes into building that. That's a lot of money, effort, time, and it's taking up physical space. When now you can have someone hold up their phone and see a completely interactive window display that you've designed for them, that's still going to be enticing for your business. It's still going to draw them in. It's still going to let them know maybe what products you're offering. And it's going to be different. More and more, these virtual experiences are going to become norm. People are going to get more comfortable with them. Right now, it seems out there, but like we talked about at the beginning of the meeting, in 2011, only 35% of us had smartphones. And now 91% of us have smartphones. So if today, it's a smaller percentage, it's under, 15% that are utilizing virtual and augmented reality, in another 10 years, that'll be 70%. Things are going to continue to grow, and we've seen exponential growth because of artificial intelligence. And it's going to start to speed up a little bit because we'll also be able to use AI to speed up our development of these technologies. Retail stores, if you're selling clothing, think about virtual try-on experiences. I know for me, if I can try on an item without trying it on, it's helpful because I have a physical health condition that makes it hard for me to get dressed and undressed. So a virtual try-on experience, gold for me. And so if I'm still in the physical store and I want to overlay that product, maybe I want to be able to see what a piece of jewelry looks like on my hand. All of this is a possibility with augmented and virtual reality. But there are limitations. Just like we talked about in the mobile device class, obviously all of this needs internet connectivity because you're talking about a mobile device, either a virtual device that you're wearing or holding your mobile device. But in either case, these aren't experiences that are happening without an active connection. For some businesses on the peninsula, an internet connection is not a challenge. And for others, it is very challenging. So this is something, again, we're talking about in a future sense. So think about the kind of capacity that you'd want to support, where you'd want to have Wi-Fi repeaters and different things like that. It's not necessarily a hurdle because it's something that is going to improve. There's strides being made continuously to get us a better connection on the peninsula. So don't worry, things are improving. So we're talking about the challenges, right? And development of these applications right now is really the big challenge. If your company is looking to develop its own mobile application that's either for augmented reality marketing or navigation, some of those different applications or training, you have to pay for the devices. You have to pay for the application development. You have to pay for the ongoing connection, maintenance, training. So right now, that development is one of the initial hurdles because you're probably not skilled yourself to develop these applications. So you'll need outside assistance either from the companies. I showed you examples from different companies today that are doing these augmented and virtual reality experiences. There's also places like Upwork and Fiverr, and there are technology providers here on the peninsula and within the county that can help you. We talked about connectivity challenges, and these are going to improve, but you want to think about the different devices that you have today, what their connection is like, what would need to be improved or maybe augmented, thinking about the different ways that your customers would connect. These are challenges that can be overcome, but they exist, so you want to be aware of them. And of course, the costs. I talked about the cost of the development, the cost of the connectivity. All of these different processes have a point of cost, and you'll want to very carefully outline those, like we talked about in the early courses of this tech workshop. If you're tracking your technology costs and your employee costs and your ongoing services costs, your maintenance costs in a way that your business can understand, it'll be easy for you to define the ROI that you're getting out of these different applications or that you could potentially get out of these different applications. So if you're utilizing some of the tools that I provided you, you know that you have some initial ways to track that and to outline where the return on your investment is going to come from. Customer adoption. So, we spend all this money, we put in all this effort. It doesn't matter, again, if our customers won't embrace it and it won't bring us more business. So we have to put a lot of time, effort, and thought into how we get our customers to adopt this new technology. I'm experiencing a lot of different customer adoption challenges because I have a very future thinking business here on the peninsula where I want to train and consult with people to utilize more technology within their lives and to understand it better themselves. And in a retirement community or a tourist community, it may not be at the forefront of everyone's minds, utilizing technology and what it could mean and how it could really enhance their lives. So um, there's always challenges with customer adoption, no matter what business we have, as long as we think them through and appropriately market and assume spend appropriately and include that in our plan for how we're going to get the return on investment, we can overcome these challenges too. And, maybe these aren't technologies that our customers will adopt in the next 1 to 5 years, but we're always trying to think ahead. So if we want to adopt them in the next 10 years, we still have to be thinking about them now. And of course, security. These applications are going to be collecting location data at minimum, right? If you're utilizing augmented reality to enhance a physical environment, or you're using virtual reality, you're going to have to require things like customer accounts, an email address. It's going to collect location data. It's probably going to need a lot of your business data in order to create that environment. And you're going to be utilizing a number of different services, and all of those services have different security requirements. Security is something you're going to want to think out very thoroughly as you consider any of these virtual or augmented reality experiences. Not that it's any more risky than a website platform where you're having customers put in their credit card information. That's a highly, high risk area. These are similarly you want to be concerned with the security of these marketing applications because they're running on your customers' devices. And ultimately, when app developers need to consider security, there are aspects of reputation that come into effect, right? If people are seeing that you have security risks or their data has been leaked to a third party because of your application, it's just going to affect your reputation and whether or not that customer wants to continue to come back. So consider security as a very important part of any technology, but it's also an important part of your plans when it comes to augmented and virtual reality. And maintenance. Throughout all of these technology workshops, we've talked about how all of them require ongoing maintenance. All of the devices get updated regularly. All of the software needs to be updated regularly so that the threats that are out there don't impact your environment. So ongoing maintenance with technology, there's almost no set it and forget it. I taught a class earlier just last week on artificial intelligence. And in the week since, we've had so many critical updates to artificial intelligence, it's almost laughable. Technology is changing faster than any of us can absorb. None of us. You have to narrow into what's really important to you in order to stay up. And it's important to your business if you're running applications, if you're collecting your customers' data, any of that needs ongoing maintenance, needs love and care. So work that into your plan because it's going to affect your return on that investment. And it's a critical concept to consider with all technology. Final questions, comments about augmented reality and virtual reality? We have a few minutes left, so let's take a look at how you as a business owner might utilize virtual reality for multitasking, because it's one of my favorite uses. Let's see, Meta Quest, multitasking. Like I said, there's so many different videos on these this virtual gear. You can just scroll forever looking at different videos that are out here, but I want to find the one from Meta. It's a little old.
Introducing the Ungun, the non-lethal self-defense platform, lightweight and simple to use. It uses an
Hey guys, in this video I'm going
So I don't know if this video is going to be great, but let me go ahead and make sure you're sharing with me here the sound. Let's take a look at multiple windows. So, all of us love to be able to multitask, but some of us only have two screens. Some of us only have one screen or a small screen, but with using a virtual headset, multitasking can take on a whole different meaning. Now, multitasking, your brain can really only handle one thing at a time. Never forget that.
to show you how you can get multiple browsers on your Quest 3 Meta. So this is just our YouTube channel. So from here in the top left hand corner, all we're going to simply do is hold on this tab and then we're going to drag it over to the right and then it's going to place it over here. You can also add a new tab, drag it across, and you can have multiple browsers on your Meta Quest 3. Now this is obviously within the Quest 3 itself. There are other options such as virtual desktop, which we'll cover in another video, so you can have multiple screens also on top of each other and below each other. But this is how you do it with inside the Quest 3 itself. If you found this helpful, make sure you like and subscribe.
So that's just one option there for multitasking that I find very effective. But there's a lot of different uses for virtual reality in your everyday work as a business leader, owner. Um, if you can afford the right headset. I don't think a lot of it is possible with just the low end Quest 2. You have to at least use the Quest 3. Ultimately, the Apple Vision Pro, especially if you're already a Mac user, that's going to be the environment that you know and love. So um, there are just endless uses for technology in the business world. And I want you to start thinking about the different technologies that you want to use in order to get the most out of technology, because that's ultimately what all of these workshops were for. We wanted to bring you the best of technology right now, today, so that you as a business leader feel more empowered, that you can tackle different concepts with technology, that you as a business leader are the most savvy technically within your business. So I hope that you have enjoyed this workshop and the entire series. I thank you so much for joining and watching, and I look forward to any questions you might have about any of the topics that we've covered in this series of workshops. Feel free to reach out to the Pacific County Economic Development Council for more. And with that, I thank you. And that's where we'll leave this series. So thanks again.